Episode 160 of Australia's #1 marketing show. We're talking about how to give feedback and receive it. A listener shares an amazing business outcome, and then we get kung fu fighting. Well, sort of kung fu fighting.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I am your host, Timbo Reid, but you, so much more importantly, are a motivated small business owner ready to crank out some great marketing and build that baby of yours up to the big, strong business that you know it deserves to be. Might be that already. Got some listener feedback today who is, they're absolutely cranking it out. More on that in a minute. We are also brought to you by the very, very good folk at Net Registry who make this show possible. So I'd suggest we all support them. Maybe you need to buy a domain name, have a website hosted, get a bit of SEO or PPC lovin'. Maybe you need a website designed. Don't know your particular needs, but I do know that they can help you with all of your online marketing. So head over to netregistry.com.au, tell them Timbo sent you, and you'll get a bit of online loving. I've just been working with the guys over there, Karen and Sam, who we've been working on some new packages for exclusive to Small Business Big Marketing listeners. Hope to share the link with you next week to those new packages. And hello to everyone from everyone from the Flying Solo community. That was a very, very average go at an Asian accent. And I swallowed a little bit of almond that was caught in my teeth before I did that. So, trap for young podcasters that don't eat almonds and do Asian accents. Righto, today's show. Listener feedback. We have got a listener who has fed back to us the fact that they've implemented a little bit of the SBBM marketing GOLD, the drips from the ceiling, and they've implemented it and they've won. I'll share that with you. Got some more news on a past guest in Daniel Flynn. He's just nailed it. More on that. Got some new training added to the forum, which I think you will be quite excited about. New how-tos. We love a how-to. Got a listener. Wow, what is it about my elocution today and previous episodes? Always trip over words. People go to you, edit your podcast, Timbo. No. What have we got? Listener question about providing feedback. And then we have a special guest who... he owned a martial arts gym on Rhode Island up until recently. Then he got out of it 100% and took his martial arts business online. And he's absolutely nailing it. Righto, so let's get into this listener question from Jess. Jess doesn't have a surname, but that's okay because she is a listener and she came through smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and sent me a question, which you can do too, you know. She says, "Hey Timbo, quick question for you. I have recently been trying to purchase an item, a handheld UHF, off a company, and I emailed them inquiring whether another product, an earpiece, was compatible. Instead of answering, they tried to upsell me to a much more expensive model. When I said I wasn't interested and just wanted my first question answered," slamming her fist on the desk, I bet she was, young Jess, "they ignored me. It was only when I chased them up again they responded. Their emails read, 'Dear customer,' or 'Hi,' and nothing else, even though I had clearly stated my name in previous emails. I was horrified. I was absolutely shocked." Maybe Jess is an Englishman, by the lack of customer service by this company. So, Timbo, my question to you is this. Do you ever correct companies when you find this in your day-to-day life, seeing as this is your job? Thanks for the question, Jess. Well, my job's not to go around correcting companies. My job, my love, my passion, my why is to help the small business owner crank out great marketing to build their business. And feedback is part of that. Let me answer your question, Jess. I think feedback is very useful. That's what I reckon. I don't think we can give enough of it. How else can we grow? I love getting feedback, but here is the but. It's got to be constructive feedback. I think anything but is coming from the wrong place. I think if you are going to give feedback to someone, it has to be constructive, it has to be useful, and it has to come from a place that will help the person receiving that feedback to improve. And I also think you've got to remember that people are in different spaces at different times. So you don't want to be giving feedback to someone who's feeling pretty low, pretty down, and make their day worse. I just think it's always good to come at it from a constructive place. Another thing, Jess, is that as a business owner, if you're not getting any feedback, business owners out there, I know you're there. You're in 110 countries last time I looked. That's how many places this show's getting downloaded. Then if you're not getting any feedback, ask for it. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be worried if you as the business owner aren't receiving any feedback, whether it be from staff, suppliers, customers, whoever, any stakeholder, I think that would be a good thing. So, and you're not asking to get the feedback because you're looking for a pat on the back. You're looking for feedback that is going to allow you to improve. What am I doing wrong? What don't you like doing? What don't you like about doing business with me? That type of stuff. How could we be doing things better? What really pisses you off about transacting with us? That type of stuff. The other thing, Jess, is one of the great things about small business is that we are really close to our customers. So, I think that feedback loop, it's smaller and it's quicker and it should be more efficient. So I think we should kind of recognise that as small business owners. And finally, just small business owners, listen out for feedback. Sometimes it's not going to be direct. Someone's not going to tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, owner, here's some feedback for you. But sometimes people, I find myself even doing it, you might drop a little idea or tip or bit of advice when you're talking to an owner, but you're not directly saying, hey, here's my feedback. So I think as business owners, we need to have the feedback radar on a bit more. And I think we can only grow from it. So, hey, Jess, thanks for your question. And anyone else listening, if you have got a question, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, click on the contact button, and you can have a question to me faster than you can say, geez, I've got a question for Timbo. Now, speaking of feedback, I have got some very inspiring feedback for us all, not just me, but for us all. It is from Lee at I Would Like, and I'll spell that. It is the letter I, then would, W-O-O-D, like.com.au. Now, Lee, don't know whether you are a boy or a girl, but that's kind of rude of me to say that. So I will, if I refer to you as one or the other and I get it wrong, I apologise up front. You say, well, Timbo, this is all your fault. We run a family business operating for over 35 odd years. We work in the manufacturing industry. Oh, by the way, it's a little bit lengthy, this feedback, but there is value in it. There is learnings in it for us all. We work in the manufacturing industry, so the last 5 years have been tough. Our historical success almost turned into our downfall. As a company, we were in a very strong financial position. Because of this, we took a long time to respond to the market changes caused by the GFC. Isn't that interesting? I just pause from the letter, but when we have success, we can often pause thinking maybe we think we've made it. Maybe we get caught up in that success. Maybe we just think it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. Often it doesn't. Back to Lee's letter. We ate into our capital reserves in the hope the good times would return. The good news is the last 12 months have seen some significant improvements in our company, most of which fall under the marketing banner. Love that. We have redesigned our website, incorporated more video, customer case studies, etc. Started a regular direct mail campaign, tracking results and click-throughs. Yeah, great. Can't manage what you can't measure, Lee. Started a YouTube channel, changed our advertising strategy from product advertising, here we go, to being purely about driving people to our website. Very clever, very clever. It's not all about trying to get the sale immediately from one campaign. Reduced our marketing spend with traditional methods, e.g. magazines. we are starting to see some results. Funny thing is, we actually spend less dollars on marketing today than we did 5 years ago, although we do spend significantly much more time. Gee, that's important. Let's just talk about that for a minute. The new world of marketing, the brave new marketing landscape, it is generally cheaper than the old world, the advertising, the direct marketing, the sponsorship, all that type of stuff. But it does require an investment of time. And what I wish for you, the small business owner, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it, is that I want your marketing to become a hobby. I want you to love it, not a chore, a hobby. I want you to love marketing your business, okay? Back to Lee. However, the biggest change is about to come online. Our newly applied web analytics showed us some significant information. Mainly a part of our market that we believe to be reduced from its heyday was actually some of the most popular product pages on our website. This market was always the poor cousin to our main product lines. Exciting stuff here. Well done, Lee. So Lee's looked at her analytics, seen she's getting some significant action on pages that were generally from market that they didn't pay much attention to. I bet that's changed, he said knowingly. Back to Lee. This led to our I Want the Best campaign being launched about 10 months ago, targeting this market. The end result was we have seen wait for it, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but a 600% increase in sales on some product lines. We are now capitalising on this success, taking it a step further. We have now created a new sister company with market-specific branding. Wow, that's clever. I think you'll like this video. It makes heavy use of Fiverr. So she sent me a great video, or he, I should say. At a recent meeting, I quizzed the staff at their guess of the video cost. Estimates ranged from $4,000 to $8,000. In fact, it cost $75. Love it. I'll put a link to the video in the show notes, listeners. Back to Lee. So why is this all your fault? Well, we discovered Small Business Big Marketing a couple of years ago. I can confidently say most of the ideas, design and strategy for the new site have come from you and your guests on your podcast. Very, very touching, Lee. Finish off. I've never worked harder and have a renewed drive to make this business successful. Just wanted to drop you a line and say thanks. Reckon I owe you a beer or three. Lee, I love you. I do. I really appreciate feedback like that. But what I appreciate more is the fact that you have listened, learned, and implemented. You have taken action. And I've got to tell you, if there is one linking factor between the 160 odd guests, give or take, that I've had on this show, is that they're all action takers, every single one of them. They don't wait for it to be perfect, but they believe in an idea and they take often swift action. And I love that. Lee, thank you. Really appreciate it. Again, Lee is from iwouldlike.com.au. That is WOOD. And appreciate the feedback. Well, what a positive show this is. And to continue the positivity, I just wanted to give you a quick update. I received this email today just before I hit record, and past guest Daniel Flynn of the brand Thank You. If we don't know who he is already, we've spoken about him enough. He is doing some great things, and Dan has just been named the 2014 Victorian Young Australian of the Year. Big round of applause for young Daniel Flynn. Head back into the archives at Small Business Big Marketing. Click on the podcast button. You will find, in fact, not one, but two interviews we've done with Dan. He's had a massive year. You know, he got his water he's got water, health products and food products into the two biggest supermarket chains in Australia after an amazing campaign. And he's just doing great things, basically saving the world. So a big up ya to Daniel Flynn of Thank You. So it's time for a bit of a Small Business Big Marketing Forum update, and it is rocking along in there. There are a bunch of motivated small business owners in there having their marketing questions answered by me on a daily basis, and they're also pushing each other along to do some fantastic marketing. Lots of questions being answered, but there is also a classroom section of the Small Business Big Marketing Forum that is full of lots of marketing training that I've created over the last few months and years. And this week, I've just added 2 new modules to it. One is all about nailing your email productivity. So not email marketing, but a bit of inbox relief, a bit of like just getting on top of that crazy amount of emails. And I did a wonderful webinar about a week ago with Paul Higgins of Think to Act. And he has an 8-step process to email nirvana. He spent 18 years at Coca-Cola sorting their productivity out, and Paul's 8-step process to getting on top of emails is amazing. And that's about an hour-long video that I've just dropped in the forum. I have also got some additional cold calling training. I did that interview on last week's show with Jenny Cartwright, who was a telesales expert. Subsequent to that, I have got an interview I did with Justin Lejoux from appointmentsetters.net.au, and Justin shares his top 10 must-dos for when cold calling. And what I love about this chat with Justin is that it verges on the spiritual. Now, I don't mean woo-woo stuff, but I mean just really, really going inside yourself and understanding the kind of energies that you put out and the way you can create a conversation when you are cold calling that comes from a place of caring and of, what's the word I'm looking for here? That it's just an honest approach to cold calling. So it's a really wonderful interview with Justin. I suggest you get over to the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. All you have to do is go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, click on the forum button. It's $49 a month, and you will get that back in a heartbeat. I'll see you inside. Okay, let's get stuck into today's guest, so to speak. It is Daniel Faggella of the scienceofskill.com. And what I like about Dan is that he was running an offline business, a martial arts gym in Rhode Island in the United States, and he slowly but surely, well, actually not that slowly, over the course of about 15 months, was able to sell his offline bricks and mortar business and completely go online by creating a whole lot of revenue streams online. It's a very interesting story. He explains exactly why he did it, and more importantly for you and I, the motivated small business owner, how he did it. It's not as hard as you think, and I think one of the big takeouts of this interview is it'll get you thinking about what you can do if you are a bricks and mortar business not selling online, what you can do to maybe add an additional revenue stream to your business that is online and open up an entire literally world of possibility. So let's have a hear. That does not make sense, Timbo. Let's have a listen to how Daniel Faggella of Science of Skill went about it. Daniel Faggella of Science of Skill and a number of other businesses. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be here, brother.
Mate, all the way from Rhode Island. Now, you had a physical martial arts gym in little old Rhode Island. You tell me that's the smallest state of America, which you sold about 2 years ago. Why'd you do that?
It was actually a little bit less than that. But yeah, we essentially I'd sold that business. I've got some other projects I'm really excited about in Boston and kind of the technology world. But B, we had surpassed the monthly income in our physical academy with our online martial arts instruction within about half a year of teaching martial arts on the internet. So leveraging our same marketing tools, obviously a lot of the same techniques we're doing in our physical location and just expanding it to a wider audience. So that was kind of the inevitable transition for us.
I think this is interesting because, I know for a fact that a lot of the listeners of the Small Business Big Marketing Show own bricks and mortar based businesses, right? And I know that, not every single one of them is absolutely nailing it in an offline sense. And there's probably a whole lot that could move their business online and open up their customer base to the world. So let's talk about that transition. Did you have a whole lot of online experience prior to moving your business online, Dan?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot. I mean, to this day, for example, I mean, I can't write, a lick of code. I don't know. I don't know how to do pay-per-click advertising myself. I have a guy. So there's a lot of things I wasn't good at. The only things that I knew were basically setting up our martial arts gym website. And honestly, I kind of hired somebody to do the majority of the work. So my experience was, I know how to use Aweber. That was pretty much the extent of it.
Aweber being the email autoresponder software. We'll come to that because you built a pretty decent list. And I want to talk about how you did that. But this transition's really interesting. And I'm glad actually that you weren't some kind of online guru, because that makes the transition braver and achievable, I think, for anyone listening to this. So tell me about the point where you're in the gym every day, you're teaching martial arts face to face. Tell me about that point where you've gone, okay, we're going to go online. What did you do?
Yeah, well, the first thing I did, to be honest, I mean, in the beginning, we didn't build momentum very fast. I only had a very limited amount of time to work on what I was kind of referring to playfully as the online project. It was basically like Tuesday night. So all I did differently was I started filming a lot more. I'll tell you that much. And we started saving up a pretty big backlog of pretty much everything we were doing on the mat. So I tried not to spend too much extra time. I just put a camera on what I was doing every day, which now we, with other martial arts, we pretty much give them the same advice. You just put a camera on the stuff you're doing already. We started loading it up. We put it on YouTube, and we popped out a couple blog posts and things like that every week. And then it was just really focusing on distribution. So the biggest thing for me was just designating, okay, Tuesday night, even if it starts at darn 9:00, if I don't even have time for a shower, I just sit down in the office for an extra couple hours, process these videos, put up some blogs and focus on this presence. So it was a little bit of a time crunch, but that's how it started off.
Oh, that's interesting. So, and those videos, I'm guessing you might even look back at those early videos like I do my early episodes of this show and kind of go, oh, really? Were they that bad? But you got to start somewhere.
You do, man. And some of it was not great stuff, I'll be honest with you. But at the end of the day, we had a terrible camera back then. But at the end of the day, many of those programs we still sell. And, I think we've gotten maybe 2 emails about, hey, your camera is from, 19, you would, but that's about it. So, so you had to eat it a little bit, but, we fought and made the transition anyway.
So Dan, just to understand that, you obviously the gym, what was the name of the gym?
The gym is Black Diamond Mixed Martial Arts, still around.
Black Diamond, okay. So Black Diamond Mixed Martial Arts on Rhode Island had a website.
Yes.
You then added a blog. You started filming some stuff that you guys were doing on the mat. You were offering some advice in those little videos. I'm guessing here. Tell me if I'm wrong. And you were just posting them on YouTube, uploading them to YouTube, embedding them into your blog, writing some posts, making some comments, and starting to build a bit of an audience that way.
Yep.
At that point, what you're offering is free.
Yes.
At what point and how did you go about starting to charge for that?
Yeah, well, that was sort of interesting as well. So I had done like some kind of minor and fleeting efforts in the past of having a couple paid programs, which I did like through PayPal, and they were like really, really small time, launches and announcements. Really, before I ever focused on the thing, it was just kind of like small stuff. But the way that we really started transitioning into a paid model, to be honest, it was very, very important for us early on to partner up with somebody who had massive distribution. So I found a guy who happens to have one of the biggest fan pages in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu space. He's a good buddy of mine. And he wasn't a buddy of mine at the time, by the way. I met him at an event. I called him before. We kind of got to know each other. And basically, I knew the marketing, and he just had a bunch of traffic and wasn't as familiar with marketing and the limited marketing automation stuff I had. So we both did some filming, put some product together, and then we primarily used his presence, not mine, to launch it. And then when we split the profits, I was able to still expand from there and build a pretty darn sizable list, basically off of his traffic, my marketing efforts. So that's how we took things off quickly.
So what was you put it behind some kind of paid wall?
Yeah. So we created a membership program for $37 a month, specifically around the stuff that the perspective of jiu-jitsu that we have, which is kind of more on skill development, and, goal setting and structured training. So, month by month program, and, devoted to different areas of jiu-jitsu, devoted to, the goal setting process and procedure, pre-competition preparation, a whole bunch of different modules that sort of rolled out. And then we just opened that thing up to the world.
And what was the actual software you used? Was it some kind of WordPress member plugin or?
So what I actually used is we had transitioned not too long before to Infusionsoft. I don't know if you're familiar with Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
So we had transitioned to Infusionsoft in my brick and mortar business. And, I didn't buy another one for this business, honestly. I just they say you're not supposed to use it for two, but you do.
Yeah. Be careful, because Infusionsoft ranked this show very highly just recently. So I know they listen.
Okay. Great. Well, they're good guys. I like.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Stuff, right. And I think they like me because I pay them a lot. And we recently started paying them like another $100 a month, and I go to their events, and I throw dollars at those guys, so I'm sure they're happy. Yeah. But either way, we started using Infusionsoft, and they have something called Customer Hub on the back end, which I think is about $79 a month. So I was paying for that, and Customer Hub allows you to upload all different video files, like unlimited hosting. It's pretty darn useful, and it really lets you roll out the content month by month in a very convenient way. So we used Customer Hub from Infusionsoft to actually be our member, facilitate the member site, so to speak.
This is turning into a bit of a how-to, which isn't a bad thing, because I know how much listeners love the how-to. So I want to go a bit deeper into Infusionsoft. We haven't spoken about it before on the show. What are the 3 or 5 killer applications of Infusionsoft for a business like yours, Dan?
Oh man. Well, I can tell you, I mean, if there's folks out there with brick and mortar businesses, I couldn't recommend Infusionsoft more, either. I mean, their deliverability had some issues, there's stuff to work on, but at the end of the day, Infusionsoft really just facilitates a lot. So, the main thing with Infusion is, you can set out drip sequences and marketing automation that changes depending on the actions of the person in the system. So let's say I have somebody who opts in for a free, course about, let's say, chokes or something, like martial arts self-defense chokes. So they get this free course, and then they get a bunch of free articles and things like that. And then we bring them to an eventual page where they can pay. And it not only is a CRM, but it also processes payments. So I get to see when they make that purchase, and then switch them to automatically to a different sequence, which can then upsell to a different program, talk about a different topic, kick off a phone call. Thank you for making your first purchase. I really appreciate it. Kick off a notification and send out an email. So, send out a mailer in addition to an email. So it can kick up tasks. So the differentiation in the marketing automation is just massive. And we use the same exact functionality for our physical gym. Basically, I just took it online.
Yeah, right. Does that do your head in trying to figure out, okay, so they bought that, now I'm going to direct them to this, or they decided not to buy that and they abandoned the shopping cart, so I've got to send them here. How do you plan all that out?
Yeah. Well, I try to simplify it. And to be honest, I didn't simplify it as much as I should early on, Tim. So I've got we had way too many funnels to start off with, but, especially now we're really honed in on just a couple. So it's just kind of like, okay, we have this lead source and they go into this darn email sequence, and it's 24 emails long. And, if at any point they make this purchase, we put them on this sequence, and that's it. And then, we have a couple of the little bells and whistles, right? So if they click the order form and they don't buy, we send them a reminder email from my assistant, whose name is Tim as well. And it says, hey, this is Tim with Micro BJJ. I saw you had seen the order form, but it looks like it didn't go through. Is there anything wrong? Anything I can help with? So we have that one little kickoff. But we really just tried to simplify the funnel. I think it's very easy to say, okay, we're going to build out, these 18 million octopus marketing legs that'll kick off. It's like, man, what's your core product? What's your core offering? And then what do you do when they buy that? What's the next step? And it's like, if you just have that built out, we actually, believe it or not, and I don't even know if I talked to you about this off camera, but we now I teach a lot of not only martial arts gym owners, but folks in guitar, folks who are, teaching mental confidence, all kinds of things, to do the same thing that we did, which is teaching our passion. And the main thing I say is, most people who say they want to teach their passion online, if you go online, you find their name, you find their website, they don't have a way for you to opt in and buy something. It's like, they have everything but that. They have a fancy blog. Their logo looks nice. Maybe they do have emails, but there's no darn core offer. So for me, it's what is your core offer and just drive to that. That's how I try to simplify it for myself.
Yeah, it's almost like even if you aren't selling anything online, I say to a lot of the small businesses that I come into contact with, it's like, your website isn't Facebook or YouTube, i.e. people aren't coming to it every 5 minutes of the day, right? So for most small businesses, a prospect will come to their website once, maybe twice, at the best 3 times, just to check them out. What do they do? Who are they? Where are they? That type of information. So the idea of actually grabbing their email address and building a list is just, it's now, I would say it's now marketing 101.
Oh, completely. And for our martial arts gym, man, we'd have nothing without that. I mean, again, I live in such a small town. If we had to start from scratch every single day with no recorded contacts, nobody previous to reach out to, we'd be doomed. It'd be all over. So, in our small town, we cycle through emails on our past students and our prospects. We find who opens those emails, and those are the people that we do our cold calls with. I mean, it's essential stuff. So that was really a thing for me, is like, okay, what is that main funnel? Make sure that opt-in is prevalent, make sure it's everywhere, and load people into that one system and then refine that one system.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, so you have built a list, Dan. How big's the list and how long did it take you?
Yeah, so our list now is just shy of 20,000 actual folks who can get the email. So not like a list of 20,000 emails, but a list of close to 20,000 people who can actually get them, not counting opt-outs and all that stuff. And that's taken us a little bit over a year. So actually just about 12 months, pretty much to the day. We started working on this mid-October of last year.
Okay, that's a really, really good rate. What was what did you do on page and what did you do off page? So what I mean by that, to anyone listening, is obviously what did you do on your website to capture that information? You must have offered something, and what were the tricks behind that? And then what did you do off-site in order to drive traffic to the website to capture?
Yeah. So, okay, the most important things for me were really 2 things. It was content marketing, and then it was also joint ventures and affiliate marketing. So I'll explain. On our own website, we have blogs, we have videos we're constantly uploading, and the videos have tracking links that go to opt-in pages. The blogs have related banners and related images and related links that go to various opt-in pages. Not so much that it's like freaking people out, but enough that it's like, hey, if you're reading an article about leg locks, and at the very bottom of the article is a banner for a free 45-minute leg lock seminar that I taught. Well, by golly, I mean, if you read the whole darn article, why don't you just opt in and get it? So, so content marketing was very important for us. We did that on our own website, but the most important thing for us, Tim, really was getting the trust of about a dozen other websites in our niche, many of whom are pretty notable and sizable. One of them's like a PR4, one's like a PR5, halfway decent for like a tiny niche. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like, it's a ridiculously small niche, comparatively speaking to many other things. So, so we gleaned their trust, and we did the same thing on just so many other websites. So it got to the point where, I could basically get hit by a bus, and there's not going to be a day that goes by where we don't get a bunch of different opt-ins from, wherever they are in the world, simply because there's too many links out there. There's too many links on too many websites and too many videos. We have videos on other people's channel that drive to squeezes, videos and posts on other people's websites. So that was massive for us.
Okay, so let's just talk about that.
Sure.
So it's all, we can control what happens on our own sites. You've spoken a little bit about these fan pages.
Yes.
How are you getting your content and the ability for people to sign up on other people's sites?
Well, first and foremost, and this has been important, and there's whole like systems and ways of going about this that have been really important for me. The primary of which is, I had to have some kind of credibility, right? So I've got some national tournament stuff, and had a book do decent on Amazon, but we were doing stuff a little bit before then. But the tournament, was kind of a decent feather in the cap. One thing, even if I didn't have the tournament, however, that was huge. And Tim, you've probably interviewed some pretty sharp folks on the show, obviously doing it for a while, was we got to interview many very, very prominent world champions. And here's the thing. It's like, what I did early on was I fought to write for a couple magazines. So I fought, all right? So I fought tooth and nail. I contacted these guys. I hit them up. I sent them sample stuff. I took a long time and wrote really great stuff. And I got in a couple magazines. And I don't even really do it too much anymore unless I feel like it. But I did it to say that I did, because now I can go to these websites and say, hey, I've written for Jiu-Jitsu Magazine and Jiu-Jitsu Style Magazine, and I recently interviewed this world champion. Can I write you a free article? You'd have to you'd have to be in the middle of having a stroke to say no. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you have to say yes. That's what you say. You say yes when somebody says that. So that's what I did. I gave them an email where they have to say yes. So I wrote for a couple magazines, and then we made sure we interviewed some really sharp guys. And it's not that hard. I mean, you can, if you send out enough emails, customized, the person, you respect them. It's not that hard, especially if you can help them, talk about a tournament or something they're proud of, a book maybe, to get somebody on a show for, 20 minutes or so. And then we went to all these websites and say, hey, I'd love to contribute some stuff for free.
So when you contribute that stuff, it's all about getting a link on either that blog post or that embedded video back to your site, or are they signing up to your list from another site?
They're not primarily signing, unless those. I don't really have any websites that actually have opt-ins besides my own websites for my list per se. And a lot of our big traffic driving is from specific joint venture partners and affiliates who have fan pages and email lists, really. So the blogs is kind of like much lower key. But yeah, of course, the point is to get opt-ins, but the point is also to rank for important terms. So the cool thing about writing on 12 different websites is if somebody comes out with a DVD program and I want to own the entire first page for, XYZ athlete comes out with first jiu-jitsu DVD, we can just own the whole first page. And then we can have all the SEO affiliate traffic for that course without having to beat up our email list and still make a lot of sales. So we can rank our own website for some very important terms like athlete names, techniques, things like that. And then we can also really work well with JV. So we have people that have, paid us $600 to $2,000 to basically just write blogs and put them on these darn websites and rank really high for things that they're promoting. So it's not only just about driving to squeeze pages, and it's certainly not about being, too overt and beat them over the head about it. It's about good content they wouldn't be able to get from other writers, and an inevitable link either to a keyword we want to rank for or to a squeeze page, of course.
Cool. Gotcha. You talked about content marketing before, Danny. You're still punching out a whole lot of content?
Yes. Oh yeah. A ton of it.
Video, what else?
Yeah, videos and blogs primarily. So videos and blogs are really what we do the most of. A lot of my videos, luckily now, and holy goodness, man, if anybody else is going to ever teach what they, teach their skills on the internet, I would totally say make sure you have a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 external hard drives and just stack them. Make sure you organize that footage and just stack the ever-loving heck out of it, because the great thing is now I don't have to do jiu-jitsu for like another 2 years. And, the entire internet would think I did. Now, of course, it's not like I completely will stop doing jiu-jitsu for 2 years, but if I go on a lot of different trips and I do other stuff and I don't get behind the camera, I have that footage. So yes, we're still doing a lot of videos. Luckily, it's much easier than it was early. And then we're still doing a lot of blogs as well. Yeah. So we're really cranking that out. I have a team of guys that does really great with writing. We really work with that. And then a lot of our other stuff is just like me and you are doing right now, Tim, is on Skype. We just record Skype calls, either video or audio, and then put that right up on YouTube with different world champions and stuff like that.
Tell me, Dan, with your video, so you're squeezing off a whole lot of video. I guess it's action on the mat, as you would call it. Once you've got that raw footage, what do you do with it? Like, do you sit there and edit it? Do you send it off to a team somewhere?
Yeah, the majority of the video stuff now, kind of unfortunately, does still fall on me to some extent. So the YouTube channel, for whatever reason, is still under a decent amount of my jurisdiction. There's probably a way to auto post that stuff, and if I had more brain cells or maybe slept more or something, I'd do a little bit more of that. But luckily, it's pretty simple. So I put a quick description. I can do it right from iMovie. Literally, I just slap a title. I slap an ending, an ending call to action. We have the URL at the bottom, and it takes me, a couple minutes to put up a video, which is really nothing. So we do that a couple times a week. And then if we do a couple extra interviews or a seminar, then, we'll do a couple more in addition to that. So yeah, right now, that's primarily me. Not all of the article writing is currently me. There's some other folks that work with me.
Where do you seek inspiration for content? Because I know one of the great blockages to content marketing for small business owners is, well, once they break through, once we kind of help them figure out what to write about, what's their, I call it their editorial mission, they then think, gosh, how could I keep this going for, even past a month? So where do you seek inspiration?
Oh man, I don't know if it's inspiration, to be honest. I mean, I'm certainly inspired by jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is really the first thing I dedicated my mind and my body to. So I love jiu-jitsu, and so I'm infinitely fascinated by it. And that's a very easy way to get myself pumped up to create content. But to be honest, Tim, I mean, you could throw me in a pest control business and I could shoot 500 videos for those guys. No ifs, no ands, zero buts.
How?
I could write 500 articles. I'll tell you exactly, man. I mean, I'll just say, okay, what are your customers concerned about? Termites. Okay, great. How many ways can termites get into a house? 15. All right. Well, I can write, I mean, if you give me one way that a termite can get into a house, I can write 10 different articles about that one way, because I can just describe it in different ways. And for some reason, I've always, I think it's grad school. Did you, I don't know how much.
Well, no, we don't really have that.
Yeah, so no, I'm not necessarily big on like my education didn't do me much solid for business, right? Like I didn't get an MBA. I was like a psychology guy, but you got to BS a lot of papers, right?
Yeah.
To get through school.
Yeah.
I mean, even in high school, middle school, you got to BS papers. You got to pretend like you read Shakespeare.
I think what you've pointed out is the fact that some small business owners, they often think they might come up with 15 different ways that termites can get in the house and then break that down, and they'll think, but who would want to read or listen or watch that? And I think that's the wrong question to ask, because it's not for us to decide that. It's for us, the business owner, to create content that answers questions of our prospects, that entertains them, that makes their life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And for some people, that'll go, that's boring. Others will go, that was the most useful thing I've ever watched. There's a listener. I know one of my listeners sent me a video 12 months ago. It was called "How to Froth Milk." Wow. And James, if you're listening, well done. He owns a coffee business. He's had 40,000 views on that video, Now, some people would go, really? How to froth milk? I'd rather set fire to myself. But there's 40,000 people who want to know how to froth milk.
Yeah, no, damn straight there are. I mean, it's, you had mentioned, I think it's a great term, an editorial mission. And I think, you would really hit the nail on the head. You got to build the editorial mission about your potential prospects. Who are they? And what is it that they actually care about? So I happen to know my jiu-jitsu readers, the buyers are maybe 42 years old. They usually only get to train 1 or 2 days a week. So if I really want to speak to them, I can talk about injury prevention, or I can talk about maximizing limited mat time, or I can talk about shoring up your fundamentals. And I can talk about things like that I know are going to resonate with them. Now, is it always the most exciting for me? No, not necessarily. And I'm sure the guy that runs a coffee shop, he can only frost milk so many times before it gets boring. But, there's another person and another person. That's 40,000 people that want to learn how to froth milk. So it's the same thing with martial arts. It's the same thing with pest control. In my opinion, I always, I imagine as though I have my life threatened when I'm writing content. So I imagine it as though, I have to write 10 articles or, something terrible and horrific will happen. And in my opinion, most people, under the gun, so to speak, would be more than capable of doing so. It's just a matter of, hey, you got 10 ways that termites can get into the house. Time to write 10 articles. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you just tell yourself it's time to write 10 damn articles, and then you write them. So that part, I don't think is actually all that hard once you get used to the pace. And I think once you do Article 6, Article 7, Article 70 is not a problem.
No, that's good. A good point, Dan. Now, mate, just to wrap up, what do you say to, I started off talking at the start of this interview, the idea that there are small business owners listening who they're offline, they've got the bricks and mortar business, the idea of actually ever creating something that they could sell online is a bit alien to them. But what you and I both know, and one of the things that I noticed when I started my kind of online journey a number of years ago is that all of a sudden you're opening up the entire world. I mean, here you are, Rhode Island, little town, little guy in little town, as you said early on. All of a sudden you have got a target audience of the world. Anyone interested in Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
Is that all of a sudden you can sell to them. So it's pretty exciting stuff. That's what online marketing can do. What do you say to a bricks and mortar small business owner who is freaked out by the idea?
Are you talking about building an entirely separate revenue stream online?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yes, an additional revenue stream and continue to open the door in your high street shop each day, or move right across, either or.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I would say, it's probably, most small business owners, the folks who are tuned in here, certainly the guys who are listening to you on a regular basis, you've already gone through so many additional struggles to be running a small business. I mean, managing books and hiring and firing. I mean, really making the transition online is just, of all those hurdles, it's such a low one compared to the rest of the stuff that small business owners have been tough enough to do. So, in my opinion, you just set your sights on what the internet can and should do for you. So for me, it was expand, my market share and expand my student base to be able to have a wider swath of folks paying attention to me. If there's someone out there who's, running a coffee shop, you can use a great example. Maybe it's just drawing more attention there, building a huge blog presence and following. So you're just ranking like crazy in your local area, but also maybe you're able to sell, specialized, coffee, like gourmet coffee guide stuff on the internet, and you got thousands of people buying $17 guides all over the web. So if you determine the mission, just like you did when you opened your shop, and you go at it just like you did when you opened your shop, there's nothing more complicated. It's not a foreign language, just a matter of effort.
Yeah, love your work, mate. That's great advice, Dan, and inspiring stuff. So, hey, mate, thanks for tuning into the show, because I know you're listening in and all the way from over there, from over the pond.
You got it. Yeah, over the pond, so to speak.
And by the way, where can people find you, more to the point?
Oh, yeah. Okay. My main website now, well, obviously Science of Skill is for my jiu-jitsu stuff. I have another site, First Internet Income, which is where I do a lot of my online marketing stuff as well. So Dan Faggella at First Internet Income.
Love your work, mate. Thanks, Dan.
Cool. Thank you, Tim.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. I've got 4 learnings I would like to share with you. Number 1, consider adding an online revenue stream to your offline business. I don't think enough small business owners are doing it. They think it's too technical, it's too scary. As Dan explained, he didn't have a lot of experience going in, and now he's actually replaced his entire income from his offline business with an online business. So think seriously about doing that if you purely trade offline at the moment. Number 2, content marketing is powerful. I would suggest going out and writing out all the questions your prospects have and start answering them via video, blogs, audio interviews, whatever it is, and then even break those questions down into, micro questions that you might find boring. No one might want to hear or listen or read about them, but you will be surprised. Don't judge them, let others judge them. Number 3, start to list all the other sites you'd like to see your business appear on, and then contact the owner of those sites to find out how you can contribute. It's a great search engine optimization play. You'll find your rankings increase significantly if you make that a part of what you do. I'm amazed at the amount of emails I get from other websites asking to be able to guest post on my site. And, it's a good play. So that would be a good one. Number 4, start to capture leads. If you're not already on your website, if you haven't got some way of capturing people's email addresses on your website, then add it. Whether you go down the path of Infusionsoft or use something like Aweber or Campaign Monitor or MailChimp, just do it. Again, don't wait for any of this stuff to be perfect, guys. It might be a bit wonky, a bit ugly, when you start off, but it will improve as time goes by. You will improve as time goes by. So there's 4 tips that I got from having that fireside chat with Dan Faggella. I hope you did too. Head over to the blog at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, the show notes for episode 160, and leave your comments and learnings. Let me know what you got from it.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.